हुलु हुलु गली कीते बुरी बुरी पिजुरीते ससिया की कमावते तदा हुआ की कमाजते वमुदड़े सिजो वमुदड़े मितो वेरु मरड़ु कनो ए पंगने लता कमकिते निदिन का घनतिनो नेलगटु ता फळमूळ सब मरड़े सिजो उहिनो हुली मंडिया की रिनेल तारो पदे मारो किलो अरे हुलु हुलु गली कीते बुरी बुरी पिजुरीते ससिया की कमावते तदा हुआ की कमाजते अरे हुलु हुलु गली कीते
Kandhamal is a land of dense forest, soaring mountains and ever-flowing water streams. Through the forest and curvy streams, hundreds of Kandha children walk every day to their schools. September 24, 2009. It was another school day for Panchu Maji, a class 2 student of Sapeli Primary School. Panchu left his village, Sriliju for a 5-kilometer forest walk to his school. 4 other friends joined Panchu for the usual walk. They move on as the 7-year-old Panchu slows down a bit. His friends turn back to his sudden scream and to their horror find Panchu being dragged by a prowling hyena. His friends do not run away. They give chase, pelting stones at the heinous animal and shouting for help. Deterred by their persistent chase and Panchu's forceful fight, the hyena yields and flees, leaving behind the bleeding prey. Soon, some villagers gather and after initial care, Panchu is taken by his father, Kundul Maji, mother, Raja Maji and other villagers to the hospital in Tumudibandha, where he recovers in a few days. Panchu is shaken by this dreadful experience, but he musters courage to return to his school even with the wound still not fully healed. Something that no one had expected him to do. But Panchu surprised everyone. He came back to the school with the same excitement and enthusiasm as before. While Panchu's courage and determination deserves all praise, the role of Panchu's school in arousing his interest in learning cannot be underestimated. Panchu's school, Sapeli Primary School, is a multilingual education plus school, run under the MLE Plus Project funded by Bernard Van Leer Foundation. Panchu and his tribal friends in the MLE Plus School get to learn in their mother tongue, Kui. Unlike other government schools in Kandhamal and other tribal areas in Odisha, as well as other states in India, where children feel alienated learning in the dominant language, not their mother tongue, Panchu at his MLE Plus school feels at home. His teachers speak to him in the language he knows. He learns to read and write and to do his math and other studies in his own language, Kui.
जेहेतु आदिवासी हरिजन पिला माने निज माने ओडिया भाषा साधारणतः से माने बुझी पारंती नाही तेणु से मानको निज आदिवासी भाषा रे बा कोई भाषा रे लैंग्वेज भाषा रे शिक्षा देवा द्वारा से मानकर किछि अग्रगति हेछि
कोई कताळे पढी गते कानी ने गय माने गा गुले इरा कुई कथा हुआ पुंजीसी आई मनो यागा बाई मनो सुपुना.
Along with mother tongue based education, learning is joyful experience for Panchu. With all the games, storytelling, drawing and sports in his school available through a special intervention program of MLE Plus. In the familiar environment, Panchu identifies himself with his own language and culture, which ultimately results in a glowing confidence in him. Primary education is all about language, learning to read and write and to use language creatively for school activities. For most tribal children forced to join school in an alien language, the language that they do not speak is a great barrier to learning.
Many children in India, in Odisha, and in fact throughout the world are deprived of an opportunity for schooling in their mother tongue. This has adverse effects on their education and capability development.
Tribal children who are not taught in their own language in the initial years find learning difficult. The system of forced submersion education in a dominant language, not the mother tongue of the tribal children, leads to large-scale school failures and pushes many out of school. Education in the mother tongue is a basic right of each tribal child of which she is deprived. When the tribal children in India join school at the age of 6, they hardly understand any other language except for the one spoken in their communities. When they are exposed to Odia at preschool and primary school levels, they are unable to cope with it and often lag behind in education, leading to failure and high push-out rate. Mother tongue links children to their own culture, instills a sense of identity and connects them to nature, the flora and fauna. It forms the foundation for all learning. Hence, it is vital for tribal children to start early education in their mother tongue. Education in the dominant Odia language created a language barrier for tribal children in Odisha. There was large-scale push-out and failure. For every 100 children joined school at class 1, over 50 were out of school by class 5 and 80 by class 10. Only 20 remained to appear the high school exam, of which only 8 passed. To deal with this problem of language barrier, the government of Odisha started mother tongue based multilingual program or MLE in 10 tribal languages with about 20 schools in each.
Multilingual education is a system in which child's communicative skills are augmented to develop a strong foundation for quality education. A child comes to school with adequate social communicative skills in the home language, a language which is usually called mother tongue. Early literacy and school education take the cognitive and reflective skills and mother tongue proficiency of a child to higher levels to enable her to engage in cognitive and reflective mental processes, to plan and organize mental activities, to think effectively, to solve problems, and more importantly, to think about language or to use language as object of thought. Multilingual education believes that this higher level of proficiency in early language repertoire of a child is a necessary condition for effective school learning and development of proficiency in multiple languages. During the years 1999 and 2000, attempts were made in Odisha to develop mother tongue based primers for tribal children. Professors Minati Panda and Ramakant Agnihotri worked with the DPP in Odisha to develop the first such textbook or the primer in Saura language. The book was called Erai Erai. Some of us later developed in the same model tribal language primers in different tribal languages in Odisha. Unfortunately, the books were never put to formal use. Later, in 2006, the government of Odisha organized a workshop in which some of us participated, and in that workshop it was decided that the government will start a formal program of mother tongue based multilingual education for tribal children in Odisha.
In the year 2007, the first batch of tribal children joined Class 1 in 195 MLE schools in the state. At the same time, the special intervention called MLE Plus was introduced in 8 of the MLE schools of the government.
The Multilingual Education Plus program is founded on the basic assumption that every child is endowed with the capability to deal with multiple languages and knowledge systems. As almost all the world communities are multilingual and multicultural, the children in the classroom everywhere in the world are multilingual without an exception. An educational practice can be considered good, inclusive and critical when it is founded on the diversity of language and knowledge, and it creates a cognitive motivational structure within the classroom that includes every child's language, culture and emotion. The MLE Plus program tries to overcome the historically committed mistake of treating some communities as monolingual and some as multilingual. It therefore makes a departure from the sequentially arranged bridge model of Odisha MLE program and the conceptual artifacts like Biggs and Calp of Jim Cummins.
In MLE Plus, emphasis was on strengthening children's language and communicative skills and promoting effective literacy engagement in the mother tongue as the language of instruction, while the children also got gradual exposure to Odia and English as the second and third languages. Our MLE Plus project, funded by Bernard Van Leer Foundation, started simultaneously with the government program, and instead of creating a very special non-replicable set of learning contexts, we decided to take 8 of the government MLE schools to implement our MLE Plus program in 2 tribal languages, Kui and Saura.
These schools were located in Kandhamal district and in Gajapati district. In Gajapati district, the schools were located around Serang area in Guma block, whereas in Kandhamal district, the schools were located in Kurtamgad area in Baliguda block.
We appointed one community MLE worker, CMW, in each of the 8 schools that we took up under the MLE Plus program. These CMWs were from the local community and knew the language. We also engaged services of language group coordinators, senior community leaders for Kui and Saura language programs. The work was supervised by the project manager with an office in the tribal areas, and we trained the CMWs through monthly workshops for effective coordination between school and community, to monitor each of child's progress, and to liaison between the families and the community and the school.
Even though the community workers were from the community itself, they had little training in using their own knowledge and language as academic resources in the classroom. Instead of exposing these community workers to a routine teacher training program, it was decided to engage them in the ethnography of their communities, literary, scientific and mathematical knowledge systems for 4 months in the beginning of the project, and subsequently for 1 summer month every year for 5 years. They were helped to work in small groups to analyze these knowledge systems, develop activities using this knowledge, and use them in the classroom for teaching of academic science and maths concept. A series of workshops were conducted by me and Professor Mohanty to help this team develop an understanding of a good, multilingual and critical pedagogy founded on children's linguistic and cultural resources.
we started the program with certain kind of planned activities. It started in fact with the ethnographic survey of the village communities.
आउ ये माध्यम रे हमर जो MLE प्रोजेक्ट चलीबा ठारू विभिन्न प्रकार आम गाँ गहली अंचल विभिन्न प्रकार सामंजस्य नहीं कि पिला मानकु शिक्षा दिया जावा विषय में आमको ट्रेनिंग दिया गला ता सहित पिला मानकर गाँ भितर गाँ मानकर बुलिकी गाँ बापा माँकर मध्य सर्वे रिपोर्ट निया गला केते कोन अछंती पिला ता पॉपुलेशन तांकर गाँ रे केते कोन अछंती घर प्रति किए कोन करछंती केते पिला पाठ पढुछंती केते पढु नाहंती से विषय कलेक्शन करके पिलान को मध्य स्कूल रे जॉइन करिया पे मध्य बापा माँ को मध्य अनुरोध करा गला आउ ता बदे से मान को मध्य माने MLE प्रोजेक्ट विषय समस्त को सचेतना दिया गला.
It was a whole new experience for children with the new MLE Plus program at their school. Not only had their books in their own language, but also the classroom teaching. The feeling of estrangement vanished as the teachers started teaching them in their own language. Their familiar tales, stories, usages, games, and songs from their own area and culture.
आम विद्यालय रे MLE प्लस कार्यक्रमटी चलिबा दिन ठारू उक्त विद्यालय रे पिला मानकर सामग्रिक विकास होइछि कहले अत्युक्ति हो नाही कारण पिला मानकर संस्कृति चालीचलन रीतिनीति परंपरा सह विद्यालय शिक्षा कार्यक्रम को संश्लिष्ट करा जाउथिबारु पिला मानकर विशेष किछि उन्नति परिलक्षित होइछि पर्वपर्वाणी विभिन्न प्रकार खेल कसरत सहित पिला मान कार्यक्रम सहित सामग्रिक भाव लोक मानकर कार्यक्रम को मध्य शामिल कराउथिबारु एठारे पिला माने आनंद और उत्साह सह विद्यालय रे अध्ययनरत करूछंती.
Learning was fun and more captivating through various activities and games. These activities based on their daily life were basic mathematical skills like counting, addition, subtraction and their communicative skills. Children and teachers used the giant picture of snake and ladders painted on the classroom floor to develop understanding of number and arithmetic operations. Similarly, in the Kukuda game, children enjoy the race of their Kukudas, who has to go back and forth many times in order to reach at 50. And for children, this counting becomes fun. Multiplication was never so much of fun before with this song and circling. With mathematics and other classroom learning, MLE Plus designed games, activities and other teaching learning material so that the tribal language speaking children can also learn Odia language in a simple manner. Apart from these, students get to learn classroom concepts through games and various day-to-day activities like marketing, trading by market game. In order to develop children's social political awareness, games like election is also arranged where they could compete for various posts in the school and get informed about the election procedure prevailing in their area. games and teaching, MLE Plus program took care of the learning environment in which the tribal children were taught. The classrooms were reorganized in a manner that reflected a sense of familiarity and interactivity. Classroom walls were painted with tribal art and paintings. Typical tribal tools were placed. Posters depicting folklore pictures by the students were pasted. To make the classroom more interesting and colorful, alphabets and number charts, pictures were hung on the walls. Information about the students with their photographs was pinned to the students' corner of the wall. Special science and math corner were created, which were decorated by the students themselves with locally available material and tools.
विद्यालय भितर क्लासरूम डिजाइनिंग करा जायछि मैथ कॉर्नर, साइंस कॉर्नर, लैंग्वेज कॉर्नर, स्पोर्ट्स कॉर्नर एपरि करा जाय अछि। आउ विद्यालय फ्लोर रे आउ कांथ गुडी करे मध्य चित्र करा जायछि जोडा कि कुई भाषा आ ओडिया भाषा रे सब लेखा जायछि जो द्वारा कि पिला माने जानि पारुछंती। आमे माने पिला मानकर निज भाषा रे से माने जहा जहा निज घरे देखि थांती रखि थांती सेही वर्ड आ सेही जिनिस मानकु नै आमाने आर्ट आ क्राफ्ट माध्यम रे से मानकु शिक्षा देउ आ टीचिंग लर्निंग मटेरियल आमाने सेही हिसाब रे बनाई थाउ।
MLE Plus collected and printed storybooks written in their own language and added them to the mini libraries placed at the corners of the classrooms.
The academic discursive space of the classroom in this program is seen as a dialectical space created by the classroom, children, textbooks, storybooks, teachers and the community together. The classroom activity is seen as an outcome of this space.
Apart from the study and gaming activities, the program tracked the development of each student by maintaining records in the student diary. Various information, progresses, remarks about the students were maintained in these diaries. Community involvement in children's school learning was viewed as essential. MLE Plus program tried to involve parents, local folk and community so that they can truly participate, observe and influence the nature of the program.
ग्रामर लोकमानंक ठारू सेमानकर गप गीत आ ढग ढमाली संग्रह करी ग्रामर लोकमानंकु विद्यालय रे सेमानकु कम्युनिटी को आमे संयोग करूछु जेपरी ग्रामर लोक माने बुझी पारिबि जे सेमानकर दायित्व रहिछि विद्यालय रे।
Small community libraries were created where community people could read newspapers as well as books. Community meetings were arranged where people can discuss anything about their children, village or problems, or even about news happening around them.
BvL master baajana kali bhurpa jana gataka BvL dina tangsane dise kote er paat ko poribe na gada yaba mu kisi mono padbe janna jaskande.
The program also arranged special storytelling sessions where elderly person told stories about their tribe, culture or people.
Ini natik panggil kekrapi jayan tu panggil kekrapi maya. Ini natik sunat jayan sunat jamai hinen.
For us, literacy engagement is not just a school-centered process. It necessarily extends into the community and to the family. We set up a synergistic reading program in which children and community members came together for storytelling, newspaper reading and discussion, various other oral and reading activities. These sessions gave a tremendous boost to community's active involvement in children's schooling and school learning, literacy engagement, and simultaneously it promoted a sense of strong cultural pride and identity.
Community sports were held where children with their parents participated and were awarded. They also engaged in miniature banking game as a part of their school activities.
We also conducted Aber Danishram, in other words, Ganit Panchayat in the villages, where the villagers as well as school teachers and children participated. First day, the villagers explained or discussed the kind of activities they do in the village, including the Bagad activities, house construction, and playing of musical instruments. And they discuss the kind of mathematical and scientific ideas that they use in making the agricultural tools or building the house or making a musical instrument. They also discussed the Saura number system and how they can count any big number with ease and how do they do all kinds of transactions with ease in the market. In the second day, the Saura teachers and the children discuss the kind of mathematics they do in the school, the kind of science they use, and also how do they engage with, how do they carry out addition and subtractions using universal number system. This was a very critical experience for the Saura parents because for the first time they looked at their own knowledge system as legitimate knowledge which can be used in the classroom, and they also learned the kind of knowledge that the kind of knowledge the children learn in the classroom.
All these plans and programs got a huge response not only from community but also from students as well. Class attendance improved considerably. New way of teaching and enjoyable study atmosphere made the children enjoy their school activities and learning. They were ready to come even on holidays. The program marked a tremendous support from community as well. Community people heartily participated in all the activities of MLE Plus program. They became interested in their child's education as well as in the MLE Plus program. Each passing day, the project recorded a significant positive development in the children's school learning, classroom participation, and community involvement. All these made possible because of MLE Plus' concern about cultural roots and mother tongue as the basic foundation at classroom learning. Every child is attached to her own language, mother tongue, and her culture. These constitute one's identity. Early schooling in a second language not only creates an identity crisis for children but also makes them feel alienated. Education in early childhood days lays the foundation. It ultimately leads to empowerment and makes them to face the world around them with confidence.
पामो ग्राम रे एबे जो MLE Plus जोरारे जो शिक्षा कार्यक्रम चलछि या द्वारा आम ग्रामवासी एवं आम ଗ୍ରାମର ଛାତ୍ରଛାତ୍ରୀମାନେ ବିଶେଷ ଭାବରେ ଉପକୃତ ହୋଇପାରୁଛୁ।
ଆମର MLE ପ୍ଲସ୍ ଆସିକି ଆମ ଗାଁରେ ବହୁତ ପ୍ରାୟ ଆଗକୁ ଲୋକ ବଢ଼ିଗଲେ, କାହିଁକିନା ଯେଉଁ ଆମର ହଠାତ୍ ଯେଉଁ ନିଜ ଭାଷା ଛାଡ଼ିକି ଆମେ ପାଠ ପଢ଼ିଥିଲୁ କିଛି ଜାଣିପାରିନଥିଲୁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏବେ ଯେଉଁ ନିଜ ଭାଷା ଏବେ ଗୋଟେ ଚିତ୍ର ଦେଇକି ନିଜ ଭାଷା ଆମେ ସେଠି ଶିଖିପାରିଲୁ ଆଉ ବୁଝିପାରିଲୁ। ବା ପିଲାମାନେ ବି ଆସ୍ତେ 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 ମାନେ 1 ରୁ 2 ଗଲା ପରେ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ବହୁତ ସୁବିଧାରେ ଜାଣିଲେ, ଆଉ 3 କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଗଲା ପରେ ବି ବହୁତ ସୁବିଧାରେ ଜାଣିପାରିଲେ। ଆଉ ଏଥିପାଇଁ ଆଉ ବହୁତ ଖୁସି MLE ପ୍ଲସ୍ ଆଉ କିଛି ଗାଁ ଉପକାର କରିଛି।
MLE ପ୍ଲସ୍ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଯେଉଁ ଆମ ସ୍କୁଲର ଯେଉଁ ବିଦ୍ୟାଳୟ ଚାଲିଛି ଯେଉଁ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କର ଜୀବନ ବହୁତ ଉନ୍ନତିରେ ଚାଲିଛି, ଯେଉଁଟାକି ନିଜ ମାତୃଭାଷା ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ତା ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ଓଡ଼ିଆ ଏବଂ ଇଂଲିଶ ମଧ୍ୟ ପଢ଼ାଯାଉଛି।
आने स्कूल बोर्ड रूम स्पिना नहीं आज्ञा पुराने गड़े ग्रा पाने बागोटे उजाड़ा ज्ञान गुले तर बाइने रहना मांगने गड़े ग्रा पाने पाठ पढ़ा गुले ना पाला बेने गड़े तीन बनाने एंगा स्कूल गुले एंदोनी गीतंग जपनी केरन डिस्पन गुले आई नहीं या बागान रूम स्पिना नहीं।
The advantages of linking child's everyday experiences to her school learning through mother tongue and through special classroom activities designed to make the child move from her routine daily life understandings to learning of complex school concepts are clearly visible in case of MLE Plus children. They learn with fun and a sense of self-efficacy. The confidence they draw from using their own language in culturally familiar settings helps them learn better, not just the school subjects, but also other languages like Odia and English. The impact of multilingual education in MLE Plus program can be expected to be sustained in children's education beyond the primary grades.